Keith was now spending much of his time dressed as someone else. Jane Mansfield, Marilyn Monroe and Adolf Hitler, to name but a few. And the Who were happy to benefit from the bizarre image of Keith in drag, as these publicity stills show.
He said, because I'm kind of famous and rich, I can be classed as an eccentric. He said, but if I was nobody, they'd class me as fucking mad and I'd be locked up. Because the downside was that Keith also was married with a child. He was also trying to lead his family life there. And he had his mother-in-law living there too, you know.
Sometimes the dressing up went beyond role play. One afternoon, he terrorised his wife, Kim, chasing her round the garden with a loaded shotgun.
He was an absolute bastard, really. I mean, he was playing around all over the place, you know. I don't know why she stayed with him for so long, but he was really unpleasant and unfair.
The reality was that Keith Moon was totally unsuited for domestic life. In drunken binges, he regularly beat Kim and broke her nose 3 times. And his treatment of his daughter, Mandy, was not much better.
Keith could relate to an audience and could relate to a room of drunks, but he didn't really relate very well to his daughter, you know. It was odd, and she used to look at him like, who is this monster, you know, this strange thing.
On a cold autumn day in 1973, Kim decided to leave Tara forever. The only person surprised was Keith.
He took it really bad. We actually went in a car and sort of drove up to town and various places where he thought she might be with some particular friends of hers. Just stopping at phone boxes, making phone calls. And that went right till 4 o'clock in the morning.
He probably never thought she would ever leave him. You know, they were like they were a couple. And I think that must have been a horrific, blow for him. The one that he never really quite got over.
Six for certificate and 4 for picture of Her Gracious Majesty our lovely Queen.
After Kim's departure, David Putnam noticed a deterioration in Keith's behaviour. Keith was only on the set of Stardust, their second film together, for 5 weeks. But it was long enough for him to cause havoc, smashing up the location hotel and holding up filming.
He was irritating on Stardust, and I moved from being a kind of affectionate elder brother to being more of a father figure. And I had some real run-ins with him, particularly up in Manchester, where he got completely out of control. Whereas his villainy and funny behaviour on That'll Be There had buoyed the film up, on Stardust it was actually dragging the picture down. That lightness had gone, it became darker. Dealing with him became darker, more troubling, more irritating. Keith was turning into an overgrown child who had lost his friends.
Troubled as he was, Keith Moon still remained a vital part of The Who. At the end of 1973, they went back on the road for a massive tour of America. But now, even the thing Keith loved most was starting to go wrong. 2 months after Kim left, the band played a night at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. Midway through the show, during Pete Townshend's song Magic Bus, tour manager Wiggy Wolf noticed Keith's drumming was speeding up and slowing down.
I was watching him nearly falling off his stool with something. We're going, but we didn't see him drinking, overly or anything.
Dougal Butler fetched a doctor, who recommended they go on stage and give Keith an injection in his ankle to wake him up.
We've had to crawl on our stomachs. Keith's looking down at us, he just doesn't know, he's going, what the hell's going on here, sort of thing. And we're going up and saying, Keith, for fuck's sake, stop using your bass pedal, we're trying to get you an injection in your ankle. And he's like, what?
The injection worked, but not for long.
He started to waver and And finally, he couldn't hold it. Doctor was holding him up in his chair while he was drumming, but in the end, he just went to pieces and collapsed.
Before the show, Keith had swallowed a gorilla tranquilizer. He recovered, but it was the first serious sign that Keith Moon might not be as indestructible as he thought. In 1974, aged 28, Keith Moon moved to Los Angeles. He took with him a 19-year-old Swedish model, a dead ringer for the wife who had left him. She was hopeful that Keith would change for the better.
I didn't know Keith like the rest of the world knew him. I was too young to have heard of The Who that much, and to particularly know what Keith Moon was like. Since I met him, I just listened to what people had to say about him, and warnings, and he's mad, he's crazy. The guy is insane. Oh, really, is he? Well, let's find out, I thought.
In Los Angeles, Keith Moon was a star among stars.
Who was as big as you could get. As far as I was concerned, as far as America was concerned, The Who was right there with the Stones and the Beatles. Keith was like, royalty.
And now, on the drums, our star Keith Moon of The Who.
Keith went for months without even seeing the rest of The Who. But in LA he was revered in his own right as a drummer and a showman with a penchant for the bizarre.
With your goldfish?
The goldfish? Well, even the best drummers get hungry.
Afterwards, pet lovers besieged the station, outraged at Keith's behaviour. He told them, goldfish love rock and roll. The main reason Keith had come to LA was because he fancied himself as an actor. He hustled major Hollywood directors. One of them was Sam Peckinpah, famous for the violent western The Wild Bunch.
Keith, of course, wasn't sober, and he was going to try and convince this man, Sam Peckinpah, or whoever he was, that he was really or could be a very good actor. And one of his tricks then was to do a somersault in front of him on his desk, because that was a very good trick. He didn't get the part.
Yes? Wardrobe! Come on in, ladies! What the devil you think?
The only offer he did get was a part in Mae West's last film.
More magnificent than usual. Wait till you see what Roger has created for you.
Keith had a cameo as a camp dress designer.
Wild silk. Wild silk. Wild silk.
It was perfect for him, because he was flamboyant, It was beautiful. Oh, darling, this is wonderful.
Solid gold, yes. Our absolute gold here. Here's the real stuff here. You're no messing about here. Aztec gold. Absolute real stylish gold.
On the set, Mae West propositioned all her young co-stars, Keith included.
I'm the girl that works at Paramount all day and Fox all night.
After the scene, she literally says, "Oh, come on up and see me," and she was serious. She came on to everybody. She was 84 years old. It's pretty frightening.